Hi there, and welcome back to the Art of Business English. This is Andrew Ambrosius, and it's episode 88 today of the Art of Business English. And this week we're going to be looking at some useful tips, actually 10 tips on how you can quickly improve your business English. Okay, it's that time of year where we're back to work. We need to start thinking about, recovering from the summer and getting organized to improve once again our English. So, nowadays, we have all the resources we could, really imagine at our fingertips, and this allows us to, improve our English level. However, it's also important to remember that English is best learnt through real-world contact. Okay, so you need to have this contact with the language all the time, and as such, if you are a parent, okay, then you should really encourage your children or create opportunities for your children to be immersed in English from a young age. Now, even though it may not seem like it at the time, these experiences will help them in the future. Now, to give you some ideas, basically some of the things that you could do or some ways in which you could encourage this with your children is that you could start watching TV programs in English from day one in original version. When I say from day one, I mean from the time they start watching TV, okay? Because if you try and start children learning or watching television in English when they're about 5, it will be too late. So from my experiences, like what will happen is the children will complain because they're used to watching it in their native language, and then you just suddenly decide, I'm going to change it to English. So that will be a challenge, because most kids will want to change it back. Okay, so if you start when they're very young from day one, it's just normal for them and they won't realize the difference. Okay. Secondly, if your budget permits, you can send your children abroad on exchange, okay, to another country, or you could send them to an English-speaking summer camp. For example, my school, we arrange international trips for children. They can go to England, they can go to Ireland, they can go to America, Australia, lots of countries where English is spoken. Most of them obviously want to go to America, but England's close if you're in Europe. And we also arrange like summer camps here in Spain or Andorra. There are full immersion English-speaking summer camps. So those are really great, especially, my daughter's 10, she went to a summer camp last year. Her friends went back again this year. So, summer camps here locally when they're about 10, 12 is fine. Some of them want to go abroad when they're about 12, 13. So you can start that if your budget permits. Another thing that you can do is it's always a good idea to start your kids at a language school at around 6 or 8 years of age. Okay. Personally, I think that starting them any earlier is just a waste of time and money. Some people say, start them when they're 1. Starting children on learning a language when they're 1 is really only useful if they're fully immersed. So they go to a school where English is spoken, or one of the parents speaks English, or they watch English from day 1 on television and things like that. If they go to a language school when they're 1, normally the classes are about 40 minutes or 45 minutes, not even an hour. And I just think that the benefit's not really there. You're probably best saving your money and keeping that to send them to, a summer camp or abroad when they're older, okay? And fourthly, you could also send your child to a private school where English is spoken, and this, of course, will depend on your budget and whether you have an appropriate school in your area. Not always possible. And finally, this is a good one. If you speak English, then you can dedicate, obviously, if your English is okay, you could dedicate 1 day a week to English being spoken at your house. Okay, that's a great idea. Again, if we start this early, it will be part of the routine, and it will seem like a normal part of life. So remember, the secret to these things is to start them before the child realizes. And if you try and introduce English when they're already like 10 or 12, you're probably going to get some serious complaints. So it's probably going to be too late by then. And one more thing to remember, because it's registration period here in Europe for courses, we've noticed that, some parents are leaving it a little bit too late as well. There's English at school, and then there's English through an academy, and obviously generally through private academies the level is much higher than the school. And some people are bringing us children who are 12, 13 and have never studied at an academy before. It's really difficult then to put them into a group which is appropriate for their level, because you don't want to put a person or a child that's 12 or 13 or 14 in a group with kids who are really young. It's just not going to work. They're going to feel uncomfortable. So you need to be aware that if you do leave it a little bit too late, it's going to be complicated for a school to put them into an appropriate level. So it's best to start learning or taking a child to a school around the age of 8, okay, if you want, or 10 at the latest. All right, so I think I've just gone completely off on a tangent down a rabbit hole there. So let me just come back to the task at hand today, which is 10 tips to quickly improve your business English. So let's go. Number 1 is basically you need to start now or start early. And what I mean by that is, start now and don't stop, okay? Many people, ask the question, when is the best time to start investing my money? Or is it too late to start investing my money because they want to get ready for retirement? The same applies for English. It's not too late. It's never too late, but you should start now. If you keep saying, when should I start, and making, asking yourself all these questions, you're really just wasting time. You should start now and don't stop, okay? The next one then is, don't or stop making excuses. That's really probably the biggest or most common problem that people face. It's really easy to make excuses. People also make excuses about their level. For example, they'll say, I'm sorry, I don't speak English. You should actually be saying, I'm sorry, or not even sorry, just say, I'm learning English, so could you speak slowly? Or I'm learning English and my level is not super high at the moment, so could we just speak a bit slower, or could you speak a bit slower? I mean, most people will be ready to help you in a conversation. So, it's really important that you just get in there to those conversations. Don't make excuses. It doesn't help. It makes the other person feel a little bit uncomfortable, and it also puts you already in a position of like inferiority. So just get in there and talk. Another thing that to remember is that you should try and stop making all the excuses in the world for not starting, okay, on working towards improving your English. So if we go back to the first tip that I said, just the time to start is now. Okay, it's as simple as that. And making excuses will just prolong the process and will not mean you'll get. It'll mean that you won't, get a level quick, improve your level quickly. Okay, so what's the next one? This one's super important. You need to have a study routine. Okay, like most things in life, you need to be organized. Okay, so you need to have a plan, a routine, some KPIs, some key performance indicators to help you see if you're progressing. You can just create some of those and write them down. Some KPIs might be like, I should have read 2 blogs this week. Okay. Firstly, you should also identify how you can have contact with English. So whether it's listening to podcasts or watching TV in English or reading books, you need to fit these things into your schedule. It's very important. And it's also important, and this is very important, think about this, you need to have an idea of your limitations. This means, don't commit to doing 5 hours of English a week if you already have a very busy schedule and you can barely fit time in to see your family. It's better to do something for 10 minutes a day. It may not seem like much, 10 minutes a day, but if you do 10 minutes a day consistently, it's much more doable than saying, I'm going to do 1 hour a day, 5 days a week. Just that 10 minutes a day, but consistently and not stopping, going back to the other point, will make a huge difference, and that will make your English language learning effective. And you're also, really important, you must be aware that if you stop learning English, you stop learning English. Okay, so if you stop learning English, then you're not learning. It's simple, right? But, it's very logical. So don't stop, because if you do, you're going to create breaks in your learning, and these like breaks will mean that you'll forget vocabulary, you'll forget concepts, and you'll lose fluency. So all the work that you have done will be sort of like thrown away or wasted. Okay, so don't forget that breaks and a lack of consistency will prolong that process of learning. Okay, next one is speak and write every chance you get. Now, many people tell me that they really want to improve their English, but as soon as they have to use it, they get all shy and say, "Oh, I don't want to speak." Okay, so if you want to improve quickly, you need to put what you have learnt into practice. Okay, it's very simple. You learn, then you put into practice, and this is one of the reasons. For example, at my school, we have an open conversation group every week, and it's not it's part of your course, but it's not the core course. It's just an open conversation group where everyone can get together based on their level and have a conversation. So it's a comfortable way for you to practice. Okay, so if you have that opportunity, then you need to take, or you should take those opportunities, because speaking is a big part of the language, and that will help you lose your shyness, gain more confidence, and obviously improve your fluency. And if you're working in an English speaking environment and you're using your English, then make sure that you take all the calls and you write as many emails as possible, and you go to the conferences, you go to the meetings, and you practice your English. Okay, this will give you like the practice that you need. Additionally, you'll really be surprised how quickly you can improve your English, and you'll start to feel more and more comfortable. Okay, so let's look at the next tip, which is read as much as possible. I can't really emphasize this point enough. Reading is the fastest way to improve your English, and independently as well. You don't need a teacher, you just need to read things. Okay, so reading is also what makes you smarter. I mean, if you look at all of the biggest and the richest, most powerful, most famous entrepreneurs, business people of all time, they all are voracious readers. You need to read widely, and it doesn't matter if it's in your native language or in English. But my argument is that if you can gain knowledge from people who are smarter than you and the brilliant minds of others. So try, where possible, to read in English. Okay, it helps you expand your vocabulary. It helps you to internalize structure that we have in English. And one of the biggest problem that I find with people, even advanced speakers, is they have problems with like word orders, so the order of words in sentences, sentence structure, and reading really helps you polish that type of stuff. Okay, so the next question, I guess, is what is the best thing to read? Well, obviously you need to read things that are suited to your level. Very important. And my recommendation is to start with websites or articles, blog posts, things that are based on your interests, because if you're interested in it, it'll be much more interesting to read, and this will make it much more engaging for you as well. Okay, so you shouldn't pick up 1,000-page novel and say, I'm going to read this. Okay, that's not a great way to start. It's extremely difficult to read an 1,000-page novel in another language. Start with something small. Okay, if you start with a 1,000-page novel, what's going to happen is you're going to find it difficult to follow. You're not going to understand a lot of the vocabulary. You are going to struggle with your motivation. You're going to get depressed, and you're probably going to stop reading. So I don't recommend reading thick novels. I recommend reading short articles and things that you can quickly read through. And with a novel or with a story, you really have to stay with it, and you have to follow the story. With an article or with a blog post, it's just something that's quick that you don't need to really remember one day to the next. Okay, so what's my next tip? Well, it is, you guessed it, take an online course. For me, online courses rock. I love them. It's just that I take them all the time, because we have now like this wonderful range of learning and online course material at our disposal. And 5 years ago, online courses were terrible. You didn't really take them because they were really, really poor quality. But nowadays you've got video material, you can download all the PDFs, you can download PowerPoints, audio, there's quizzes, there's things to help you. So, the language course offering for online courses has improved a lot. And it's also a fast way to improve your English as opposed to going to a traditional presential in-person language school. So online courses also offer the following benefits. You can study when it suits you, so you can organize your schedule. You can do it from the comfort of your own home or your office. You can even do the lessons while you're traveling for business. So if you're at the airport, doesn't matter. You just whip out your laptop and you can do some work. They're often cheaper than attending a traditional school or traditional classes. You also avoid paying for travel and parking. Many people don't consider that, but driving to a traditional school or a physical school, it costs money to drive, and it also takes time. It might take you 30 minutes there and back, so that's an hour that you could have used for something more productive. So you save time and money when you take an online course as well. And you can also learn content that is relevant to you and your needs. For example, maybe you join an English course and you go to the school and they start teaching you grammar that you already know, and you're like, well, I know this, but it's part of the course, so I have to just do it. Whereas if you have an online course, you can just skip through the units that you like and just extract the information that's most relevant to you, meaning that you can learn a lot faster. So again, if you want to improve your business English quickly, then you can take a look at the Art of Business English University, where we have a wide range of courses for you. We've got business courses, we've got general English courses, and we've got Cambridge certified courses for getting your first certificate or advanced certificate in English. My next tip is important as well. Be understood, not perfect. So this is critically important because many learners feel that they have to speak like to some specific level or some certain level, or it needs to be perfect. So my question that I often ask my students is like, tell me, what is your definition of perfect? And they're like, Or I say to you, okay, what level of English do you think you need to have before you're going to give yourself permission to talk English to people? And really, most of the time, people can't answer that question. So, it's ridiculous to think in your mind like, I won't start interacting with people in English until I feel that I've got my level high enough. Okay? Because you're not practicing then. Okay? You need to practice and make mistakes. It's human, it's how humans learn. We learn through trial and error and through making mistakes. So you basically just need to force or put yourself into situations to speak English, because otherwise you're missing out on these valuable opportunities to practice, and then you won't improve quickly and you won't get that chance to speak to people. Okay, so be understood. Don't worry about being perfect. Okay, I speak Spanish and I speak Catalan, and I don't speak them perfectly, but I still speak, and I don't care. I'll speak to anyone. Okay, another one that's important is you should try and learn with others. So this is where the benefits of blended learning can come into play. Blended learning is when you take part of the course online and some of the courses in person. So, enjoying your sports or hobbies with your friends, it's, one of the best things in life. I love playing sports with my friends or hanging out and doing something healthy together. So if you can learn with others, it's also a great way. It's much more motivational because you can motivate them, they can motivate you. You find a great school, there's good people at the school, great teachers, that nice environment. And this type of environment really is positive and can help create a good learning experience for you. So if you can learn with others, it'll benefit you in the long run as well. And if possible, we should try and get your company or convince your human resources department to sponsor some in-company classes. This will create a nice learning environment because you'll get like a welcome break from your work routine. At the same time, in company time, you're learning English, and the company's paying for it, so you're saving time there. And your company also benefits too, because especially if your company needs you to collaborate or work with international suppliers or clients, then you will improve your productivity and be more effective in the workplace. So that's super important if you can get that in your company. The next one is to use technology and buy English grammar books. All right. So nowadays we have a vast, array or number of apps at our disposal, and we can use them to practice English. I mean, I'm not a big fan of apps, but some people love them. We also have access to Amazon, where we can easily find, a massive number of English grammar books, which or just English exercise books. So, I mean, those can really make a big difference. Okay, so for example, if you're listening to this podcast now, or you're watching the video on YouTube, or you're reading the blog post at The Art of Business English, you are actively using technology to improve your business English. Okay, so by using this technology, you can improve quickly, as opposed to just sitting at home in an isolated world and not doing any of it. Okay, now if you do want to improve further, then check out this blog post over at The Art of Business English. If you're listening to the podcast or watching the YouTube video, I'll put some popular grammar books up on the website, so you can link to those on Amazon, and if you're interested, you can grab yourself a copy. Because if you dedicate 10 minutes a day to doing some exercises or a page of grammar exercises and then listening to a podcast, you'll make a marked improvement in your English. Okay, so that leads me to the next one, which is get one-on-one or one-to-one coaching. So this, again, will depend on your budget. So if you have the money to spend, you could try and source or find one-to-one coaching. The benefits of that are, you get obviously very personalized attention. The material and the classes are completely focused on your needs. Well, it depends if your teacher's good. You need to find a good teacher. And today we've got the technology to allow people to have coaching online. So, maybe in the past a video conference call was not good, but now the technology is great, so you can easily find professionals and native people online who will provide you with these online classes. And maybe where you live, there's not any good schools, or there's very few natives. Maybe you live in a regional or remote area. But with a good internet connection, you can suddenly the world is there for you, and you can access these people. If you are interested in online coaching, then again, I'll link up to The Art of Business English, the AOB team. We offer live coaching through video conference calls, and it's really effective. Good way to get really specific training that meets your needs, especially if you have, for example, important presentation or meeting with a client or potential client. We can help you prepare for that through this one-to-one coaching. Okay, so those are my 10 tips for you for today. And basically, my final thoughts are that, learning should be a lifelong passion. Doesn't matter what you want to learn. If you want to learn how to play tennis to a high level, then you're going to have to, dedicate many years. Golf is the same, and these games are very difficult to play. And learning a language should be the same concept. You should be passionate about it, and you should fit it into your routine. You should be consistent, and over time you'll see the results. Okay. One more thing to remember is that you will get momentum as well. So in the beginning with everything, when you're starting, it's difficult, but as you do it more and more over time, you'll start to get momentum and inertia, and it will become a lot easier to learn and adopt new vocabulary and grammar. What's also important is, with these 10 tips today, don't try them all at once. Just take one or two of your of the tips, and just implement one or two at a time. Just start small and then expand. Okay, because from my experience, and the same thing happened to me when I was learning to speak Spanish and Catalan. The more you learn, the more you realize you don't know anything. So it can be quite frustrating. Like, oh my God, I thought I knew a lot of Spanish, but now I'm learning more, and I realize I've got so much more to learn. So it can be a little bit frustrating when you feel that you have stages where you feel like you're progressing quickly, and other times you feel you're not progressing quickly. What actually happens is that you are progressing, but your perception of progression is slower. Okay, so it's really important. Get the momentum, because the more you learn, the easier it is to learn more as well. That's the other side of the coin. Okay, you are much more effective at remembering vocabulary, engaging in conversations, and your fluency improves the more you learn. Okay, so those are my 10 tips, my friends. I hope, I've covered a lot. I've gone from your children all the way up to you. And if you do have any questions or you want to comment on this, then please let us know over at the AOB website on this post, episode 88 of the Art of Business English. And that's it for me. Check out the university, the Art of Business English University. We've got a whole bunch of online courses up there now for you to access. We've been working very hard over the summer and over the past year to put together some really high level, intense preparation for exam courses like the first certificate or the advanced certificate. We've got some useful business courses on writing and social English skills. We've got some stuff on presentation skills there. We've also got general English courses just to help you improve your general English if you're not interested so much in business. Those levels range from like pre-intermediate all the way up to upper intermediate. And we've also got live coaching sessions which we can help you develop personalized programs for you. So check out everything that we've got over at the university. And if you have any questions, just let me know. You can fire me an email at aobe@theartofbusinessenglish.com. And that's it from me, my friends. I hope this episode's been useful for you. I look forward to seeing you and having you again all next week on the Art of Business English. So have a good week, take care, and bye for now.